Hey guys, Zot here, and with the new season beginning, a lot of us shadows are going to have to be venturing into the 2v2 bracket. A bracket we generally don't thrive in. This is the second part in a series where I'm going to be covering some of the most popular 2v2 matchups, and cover how you can potentially beat it as a Shadow Priest. As a Shadow Priest, I've managed to keep up with the highest rated 2v2 teams throughout the entire of Legion, reaching upwards of 2,800 rating as a Shadow Priest. So with the right tactics and know-how, you can make your 2v2 nightmare a little bit easier. For this episode, we're going to be covering Ferals. Ferals most of the time play with a Priest, but can play with any other healer to the same effect. For 2v2 against Ferals, I always play the default PvP and Honor talents. The only exceptions to this is I'll be taking Power Infusion instead of Misery, and Psyfiend instead of Void Shift. This is because you will be reliant on Power Infusion to help extend your Void forms and allow you to more easily score kills. Also, Misery loses value when you have less targets to dot. As for Psyfiend, it's almost mandatory in 2v2, as the game will often go high dampening, and a Psyfiend can easily help you finish off a target. And versus Ferals, they will more than often look to pressure both you and your Shaman, so having Void Shift will be useless. As for your Shaman's talents, the most important thing for him to change is to make sure he has Electrocute instead of Grounding. Grounding brings very little, and the offensive pressure from Purges coupled with Electrocute can help you score kills during Void form. When facing Ferals in 2v2, there is a few important abilities to track. First of all is his kick, Skull Bash. Ferals, unlike any other class, gain a huge amount of extra damage when landing their kick, due to the talent Savage Momentum, so making sure to attempt to fake cast his kick becomes even more important in this matchup. Like you can see here in this clip, the Feral is low and I'm channeling Mind Flay. He has no other defensive cooldowns, so his only option is to look for a Skull Bash onto me. I cancel my cast and manage to fake him, so I can easily score the kill with my Shadow Word Deaths. Also, the other important ability to look out for from Ferals is their Incarnation. This is a 3-minute cooldown which boosts their damage greatly, so you should always make sure to have your Shaman's Ascendance and your Dispersion ready for this cooldown, as without it you will more than likely die once dampening kicks in. Outside of Incarnation, Feral's damage is pretty predictable, so you can look to use your Dispersion offensively while Incarnation is on cooldown. As you can see here, as soon as the Feral Druid pops his Incarnation, my Shaman immediately trades out his Ascendance. Both are a 3-minute cooldown, so line up perfectly. Also, the final ability to track is the Priest Dispel. Knowing when the Priest has Dispel or not can help you greatly in landing Mind Bombs, and knowing when to go aggressive with your Power Infusion. You don't want to be using Mind Bomb or going into Void form if he has Dispel ready, and you will just be wasting globals reapplying your dots. Also, it's important to figure out if he has Double Dispel or Purified Resolve. If when he dispels a target, you can see the Purified Resolve debuff on them, this means he only has one Dispel and you can safely Mind Bomb after he uses his Dispel. Now you know what spec to play and what abilities to look out for, it's now time to cover the game plan and how you are going to score a kill. Firstly, you want your Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain on both the Feral and the Disc Priest. This is important because it will help you gain increased pressure, and also as you are playing the talent Shadow Mania, it's vital that you keep up 2 Vampiric Touches at all times. Once you have Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain on both, you will be wanting to find a good time to burst. A good time to burst is when the enemy is in your line of sight and has no pills available. As you can see here, I have Vampiric Touch and Shadow Word Pain on both the enemy Priest and Feral, and the Feral has no Bash or Skull Bash to crowd control me, and both of them are currently in my line of sight. This is a perfect time to look to go to aggressive and enter Void form. Once in Void form, I pop my Power Infusion and silence the Priest, followed up with a Mind Bomb into Cat Totem. I choose the Power Infusion early, as using it late to get the maximum benefit will be hard, because as soon as I enter Void form, the enemy team will look to play defensive and line of sight, so popping it early will give you the most out of it. Once my silence ends on the Priest, I'll be wanted to get out of line of sight from him, remain in time of my Power Infusion. This will prevent him from being able to purge, making it useless. Also at this time you will be wanted to use your Shadow Fiend. Shadow Fiend gets empowered by haste, so combining it with Void Form and Power Infusion will make it deal some insane damage. Most importantly, don't use your Shadow Fiend onto the enemy priest. This is because of the talent Focused Will, so all you will be doing by putting your Fiend onto the priest is giving him a 30% damage reduction he wouldn't otherwise have. The enemy will now look to run, so make sure you chase them using your Power Word Shield off cooldown for the body and soul speed increase. And try to keep near the priest so you can easily Vampiric Touch him if he dispels, thanks to the horror effect when you dispel Vampiric Touch. All throughout your burst window, you will be wanting your Shaman to purge every shield applied by the priest for the electrocute damage. Furthermore, he should be pushing in and playing aggressive with wind shears. As you can see here, despite the priest using Rapture, we are almost able to kill the Feral thanks to Purge with electrocute. Once you get them to below 35%, your Twist of Fate will proc and you should be able to carry the momentum from your Power Infusion into an eventual kill. Also, if the Feral doesn't have Incarn available, you can look to extend your Void Form by dispersing to allow you to score the kill. So, just to summarise this matchup, I'm going to be covering the most important tips. Number 1. Always use Ascendance when Incarnation is popped. Number 2. Never Power Infusion without dots on both the Feral and the Priest. Number 3. Get your Shaman to Purge and Wind Shear aggressively during Void Forms. Number 4. Make an extra effort to fix the Feral's kick to avoid taking extra damage. And number 5. Never Shadow Fiend the Priest. That just about wraps this video up. Thanks for watching and be sure to plus skill if you enjoyed, and feel free to ask any more questions you still may have in the comments.